What's up YouTube, Northwest Farm Dad here. Today I'm going to do a review on my new Ulrich horse barn. So this is a company out of Texas that makes panelized barn kits. It's built and engineered to code for my area. I will say that Ulrich was super easy to work with. They actually got back to me on a weekend with sketches and whatnot. The ordering process went well and I was happy with the price. Before shipping, I was at about $28,000 for this 36 by 24 foot 3-stall barn with a 12 by 36 foot hay storage area. So I would give this 4 out of 5 stars. It could have gotten 4.5 stars, but there were just some fulfillment issues with the order. They didn't send me all the parts and they missed like kind of a lot of stuff that they had to send later. It was kind of irritating when you're trying to put this thing up. From a construction perspective, it took me and a buddy about 2.5 days to put up the main structure, which included everything, all the doors except the sliding door. I just got that knocked out yesterday. And then that didn't include the door hardware. That's just kind of a time-consuming task that just takes one person. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. So let's talk about some of the things I like and some of the things that I don't like. So from a construction perspective, it's pretty simple to put together. It comes with these essentially floor rails that you put around the outskirts of your pad, and then everything just sort of slides in to them and either bolts down to them or bolts together. The panels are metal clad, so metal on the inside and on the outside. You get to pick your color, and then there's essentially wood car decking in between the metal sheets. So they're about 1/2 inch, 5/8 inch thick. Pretty heavy. I'd say each panel is about 95 to 100 pounds. But once you get the first two up, the first corner, it goes pretty easily from there. It's super sturdy. Like you push on the walls, it's sturdy, it's strong, real high quality fasteners that went into it. And then all the stuff on the inside, like the metal doors and feed doors are built well. So I don't have any complaints about the quality, but it was things like this, like that little piece of metal purlin that sticks out. Like they forgot to send me 4 of those. So that was kind of irritating when you're trying to put this building together and they don't send the metal purlins. They forgot to send me, and I just got them the other day. So you can see where that wood is tacked up. They didn't send me 2 of the panel connectors. So I have to put that in at some point, but we had to sort of tack up some wood to get things going. And then they forgot some of the hardware for the actual sliding door. So they didn't send the wheels or the brackets to hold the door track on. So just kind of irritating that's just attention to detail. And I think that's why they lost 1/2 star, was just kind of the attention to detail from that perspective. And then some of the other attention to detail issues that we ran into is like with that panel I'm looking at specifically, it's a wonky panel. So the cladding is not glued on straight on that panel. It's off by like 1/2 inch on one of the sides. You're able to sort of make up for it because the metal sort of covers it on the outsides, but they've got to have a jig to put those metal cladding on the car decking, and the fact that it was just the metal cladding was so far off and so wonky was kind of irritating from that perspective. So another thing, on the outside, we opted for the sort of English country door style, the split door. And you can kind of tell this is a Texas company because we're up here in Washington and it's full of water. So I'm gonna drill a hole right here to drain it. So there's just a permanent drain in there, but it just kind of, either that should have been sealed, I'm not sure, but that was one area that kind of irritates me, is that it's just gonna cause this wood to swell and deteriorate. So we'll have to put a hole in there. So the plans call for a 12 by 12 footing and then a 6-inch stem wall around the outside of each stall, and that the stall floor should be dirt. So essentially the way the plans call is you would have your 6-inch stem wall on top of your footing, and then you come in here and then it would drop down 6 inches again. I didn't do that. I did 12 by 12 footings, and then I did a 5-inch slab on top of the footings. I understand why, because they don't want moisture building up against the outsides, or against those panels. But from my perspective, I don't want horses with this. By the time you take the 2-inch piece of metal, and then another 6 inches. It's like an 8-inch step for them every time they want to come in and out of their stall. So I'd rather put stall mats down, have an inch, and then they can step down into the paddock. And also, it would suck, with that elevation transition from the main barn into the stall area. So I am going to caulk the inside of the panels up to about 8 inches just to prevent moisture from getting in there, although my horses don't tend to pee up against the wall, so I'm not terribly worried about that, and we're good about keeping fresh, dry bedding in here. But that's one sort of design thing that I didn't love. All right, so when you're putting it together, you run these are this is a bottom piece coming from one side, a bottom piece coming from another side, and then this is a bottom piece that goes back into one of the stalls. There's probably an 1/8 to a 1/16 inch here where it's not perfectly done. That adds up. And what ended up happening on mine is by the time we got to putting panels up on the end, we were about 3/4 of an inch off. We were able to sort of finagle it and make it work. But when you're putting it together, have a grinder and make sure that these pieces are exactly the length that you want to, because there's just some kind of dirtiness on the edge of some of these pieces of metal. So I would just plan to spend some time before you lay those down, cleaning them up, hammering these guys square if you need to. But the just not being square led to us having just the foundation is just a tiny bit too big. We were able to adjust these things, but where you noticed it is up with the California trusses, where it caused some issues that we had to sort of finagle. At the end of the day, I'm into this thing for $42 a square foot. That includes concrete, which to me is a really, really good deal. So I'm super happy with the overall build quality of it. I think Ulrich has the ability to sort of deal with some of their quality control shipping sort of issues. And I think if they did, this thing's a home run. And I would absolutely buy from them. Again, one thing I will say is that I had parts that were missing. I reached out to my contact at Ulrich, and I heard back from him immediately. So I really appreciate a company that acknowledges when something didn't go well or didn't go perfect, and they make their best efforts to fix it. And that's what Ulrich did. Ulrich put their best foot forward. They got stuff shipped out quickly. I had all the parts that were missing within a week. So, it wasn't perfect, but their response to it could not have been better. So I was super happy with it from that perspective. From a tool perspective, I make sure you have 2 impact drivers, 2 drills, 2 A-frame ladders, and a piece of scaffolding, like a 15 or 16 foot scaffolding to put between them. With those and a Sawzall, because you're going to have to trim a couple pieces of metal, this thing goes together very easily, very quickly. You'll need an impact hammer for setting the foundation pieces, but I mean, this is me and the other guy. Neither one of us are full-time contractors. We're both very handy, and we knocked it out. It wasn't confusing. It wasn't hard. You can do it if you're, just a little bit handy. So that's it. Thanks for watching.